Good?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, microphone's on. Everybody's. Okay, calling to order the February 15th meeting of the Historic Resources Commission here at 4:03 PM in room 111 North Front Street. Sorry, at 111 North Front Street, room 204. The next business meeting of the commission is Thursday, March 7th, 2024 at noon. And the next hearing is Thursday, March 21st, 2024 at 4 PM here in room 204, 111 North Front Street. Jacqueline, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening?
I do, Jacqueline Mizell.
Thank you. And introduction of the commissioners here present this evening, starting on my right. Matt Leisure,
Cynthia Hunt.
Clyde Henry.
Joseph McCabe.
Mike Ford. Stuart Gibney.
Mega Sena.
Thank you. Full commission this evening very much tonight. Moving on to the approval of the staff approvals.
So moved.
Having a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Having a motion and Clyde Henry second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes. Moving on to approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which is January 18th, 2024.
So moved.
Having a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, will abstain. Okay, 2 abstentions, noted for record, appropriate. Motion passes. Moving on to certificates of appropriateness this evening and starting with staff recommendations in case HR 2402-007.
Okay, so this application is at 260 North 4th Street and is regarding signage. So specifically, the applicant would like to install a wall sign at the primary west elevation. And this would be at the individually listed engine house number 16. The sign is larger than the short arm design guidelines. That is the only area where it doesn't meet the guidelines. However, the sign does fit within the sign band. And given the placement, this particular building, the overall portion of the sign, in fact that it meets the other guidelines, HUPO staff is in support, has support approval for this application. So we do recommend approval for application HR 2402-007 as submitted, with any clarifications to be submitted to staff. And that recommendation is based on the city code standards for site improvements, specifically letter C, as well as the guidelines for signage on pages 72 to 73, and the short form design guidelines for signage on pages 3.37 and 3.41.
Is there any additional person here representing them? Okay. If you could raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening.
I do.
If you could state your full name and association with property for record.
Rebecca Green, and I'm here on behalf of Columbus Science.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I will ask, does the applicant want to add anything before we move on to any commission discussion?
Actually, I really do not have anything additional to add. This is a slightly smaller sign than we initially submitted, so that's about all I have.
I'll open it up to the floor here amongst the commission. No questions? Don't have a motion.
Move to approve.
Okay, there's a motion to approve as presented. Is there a second? I'll second. Having a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Moving on to case number 2, HR 2401-011. Sir, now,
We want to circle back to this one.
we can move on to case number 3, HR 2401-010. That's 661 Bedford Avenue. Is there anybody here that would be the applicant on Bedford Avenue? We're striking out twice. We will come back to case number 3. Moving on to new applications, HR 2402-008, that's 223 West Beach Wall Boulevard.
I get extra credit for leaving that.
If you could raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening.
I do.
If you could state your full name and association with the property for record.
Gail S. Mahaffey, owner.
Wonderful, thank you. Jack?
Okay, this application for 223 West Beach Mall Boulevard, is we're proposing landscaping and hardscape. So for landscaping, the proposal is to replace a wood shadow box fence and timber retaining wall that was damaged by a tree with a new wood fence and a new stone retaining wall. The fence would be board on board, 6 foot high. It would also include leveling a patio area and expanding that patio area using degraded granite, installing boulders, fieldstone, and steppers, adding a planting border along the north sloping side of the patio, installing a cedar pergola, installing a boardwalk with wood decking, installing a stone semicircular wall in the front yard to create seating, installing machine cut steps and path lights. So the staff analysis here is an application, oh, just as a note, originally there was this application included replacing balcony decking. However, that application was previously approved by the commission, so that component of this application is moved to staff approval. So, speaking ahead here. So the applicant, just recently today, we have submitted cut sheets, so that has been modified, and the commission is taking a look ahead of time. So we do have the cut sheets for the light fixtures as well as the machine cut steps. And the conceptual application had been previously reviewed in January. At that time, the commission noted that they appreciated the nicely packaged application and noted that although the planting scheme is not fully traditional in some aspects, they appreciated the inclusion of native plant species, and that with the reduction in the height of the fence and getting some more details on how that compares to the existing condition, would feel comfortable moving forward. And note that if any changes are needed as the application is developed, for the applicant to update the drawings or materials to reflect those changes. The applicant has updated the application to change the retaining wall to stone from wood. So that is the only change here, I believe, from the January conceptual review. So following the February business meeting, the applicant has submitted that revision, and that new retaining wall would be specifically limestone, about 2 feet in height. So the staff recommendation is almost the same as the January, except we have those cut sheets. So the recommendation is to recommend approval of application HR 22-02-008 at 223 West Beach Mall Boulevard. And that is with the condition or stipulation to regrade the fence area and adding a new stone retaining wall to replace the existing wood retaining wall. And also note that the applicant and landscape architect has submitted some comments, their assessment of why they would like to propose that retaining wall that's included in the application materials now. And then the staff recommendation is based on the city code 316.13 standards for site improvements, specifically letter A, as well as the guidelines for fences on page 76, patios and decks on page 77, lighting on page 79, and then historical plans and landscaping on page 8. And turn it over to the commission.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to add anything?
No, we just changed the plan from wood to stone. We already have limestone walls on the property. So that was the only change from the conceptual.
Great. I will open this up to the commission for discussion.
So, I like that. We're perfect.
Oh, I want to be clear, okay as it's submitted, or okay with changing the fence?
I think it's would be okay with the revised submission as it's being.
With the stone retaining,
To include the stone, to include.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think there's still reference to the wood in the application. But we need to take that.
So you have to update the package.
So this particular, what are we seeing right here? Is this where it notes that this is the stone?
Yes, there has been some updates, and where it says wood instead of stone, staff can always make a note of that as part of any stamp drawings.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, there just are, flipping through it, there's still a lot of references to wood retaining wall. So other than that,
You would feel comfortable as long as the clarifications. Absolutely. Great. Okay, there's another one.
I move to approve,
Application 04 HR 24-02 008. 230 or 223 West Mutual Boulevard, as submitted, and provided that the changes get made on the drawings.
Specifically clarification.
Clarification.
Of the stone retaining wall.
Yeah, clarification of the stone retaining wall on the drawings.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, abstention, motion passed unanimously.
I do have a question because I hired a firm to do the drawings. That's not who I've hired to do the construction. So they don't have they have the drawings, but they didn't, the construction company doesn't have the actual, software, or I mean, the original plans. So how will they?
I think they just cross it off with a pen and write it in.
Yeah, for something like this, I think that's fine.
Okay,
We're going to defer to staff to make sure that this is documented enough to have evidence and proof that you've switched to stone.
okay,
Yeah, so
all right,
whatever they need.
we're good. Sorry.
Thank you. Get it right.
Real quick before I move on to the next case, is either anybody here from 730, 732 Oakwood Avenue or 661 Bedford Avenue? If you can approach. I'm clear. Okay. And which property were you here with? Which is?
661.
Okay, right here. If you could raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening?
Yes, I do.
If you could state your full name and association with the property for record.
Nate Royans, owner of Nate Royans Properties and the property.
Wonderful. Okay, have a seat. Jack.
This property for 661 Bedford Avenue, this application is a result of the code violation. So the work that was done involves replacing siding and trim, windows, roofing, porch step and railings, doors, decking, light fixtures, and garage for roofing and then painting. So for staff analysis, windows, we recommend that the windows that have been installed are replaced with the windows from the approved windows list. And that they match the original 6/1 double hung windows that were removed. And then any mullions that were removed are reinstalled, or new mullion rather, to return that to a paired or ribbon window configuration matching that original window configuration. For siding, not sure if the siding has been installed over original siding, so if so, we would recommend removing the vinyl and restoring the original siding. Or if the original siding has been removed, then installing either new wood or other smooth cementitious siding to match that historic wood siding that was removed. And then just to note that any replacement siding, the same profile reveal, and any trim projects a half to 3/4 of an inch from the surface of the siding, and to follow any ghosting for any new trim that's installed for the original trim. So for doors, the doors that were removed were not historic. For the doors that have been installed, we recommend replacing with new doors for the style appropriate to the age and style of the home, more particularly the front doors. The front doors typically should be wood. And so we have an attached image in the documents that show what looks like might be the original front door style. They're typically a 3/4 leg or half leg would also be on the doors that are installed for this home. So for roofing, we recommend roofing shingle from the approved shingles list with a metal ridge roll, and returning open soffits and rafter tails with any venting performed on the roof ridge underneath that metal ridge roll. For the porch railings that were removed were not historic. So recommend replacing the contemporary style porch railings that were installed with a railing style appropriate to the home. This could be something such as a solid balustrade of brick or wood, or a simple wood railing as shown in the guidelines. And then recommend to a raised patio or raised platform in lieu of the deck at the rear elevation. So at the January 4th business meeting, the commission noted that they will need to evaluate the application to determine if they would have approved the work had it come before review prior to installation. They cannot set a precedent by approving after the fact if that work would not have otherwise been approved originally. The commission noted that while the work would have looked nice if this was not a historic home, the removal of historic materials and installation of contemporary design materials does not fit with historic homes on the street. The commission asked if any changes have been made to the garage and landscaping and requested photos of these areas be submitted. So in response to the business meeting feedback, the applicant has provided physical samples of the siding material. We can pass that around if you'd like to look. And so overall, the staff recommendation, this is conceptual at this time, so the commissioner should offer feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to refine the proposal for review at a future HRC meeting. And the basis for the staff recommendation is the City Code 316.11 standards for alteration, specifically numbers 1, 2, 5, 6, 10, 11, and 12. And then the guidelines for wood siding, aluminum vinyl siding, roofing materials, windows, doors, patios, and decks. And there's the amendments to the City of Columbus guidelines, which also touch base on window replacement, door replacement, exterior siding, and artificial siding. And I'll turn it over to the commission with that.
Okay, thank you. I would ask if what would the owner like to add to that at this point? I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of discussion here.
Yeah.
So,
Kind of just open for discussion.
okay. I assume you didn't know that was in a district or?
That would be correct.
That, okay. And this was not a case of the permit was issued without COA?
No, there wasn't any.
I don't believe so,
Okay.
fortunately.
Starting off, sir, there's gonna, we're gonna go through this step by step.
Did you save any of the old windows or any of that stuff? There's all.
Windows are not saved. The siding, the wood siding is just underneath.
Okay, so it's got the siding on.
I believe most of it,
We gotta get
99%. Oh.
There's a lot to hear. But I'm sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, again, the basis of our discussion this evening is really around what is appropriate in a district and would we have approved it originally. So that's the most thing that we have to carry weight with, not placing subjective value, whether it's a good looking house or a bad looking house, or if it weren't in a district, would it pass? But we have to look at it from the historic perspective, which is the only thing we're here to do.
Understood.
What do you think about it from that angle? But, starting with, I think, the siding, I guess I'm also willing to hear what is the applicant is proposing to do?
I mean, I would like to keep what we can keep. We've gotten a lot of compliments throughout the neighborhood. This was, the exterior of the project was done probably within 2 months of us purchasing back in July, and we've gotten a lot of good compliments from the neighborhood. A lot of people have been asking to live there themselves. So I think it is well received. However, I understand now in hindsight that we didn't abide by your guys' rules. So just kind of really just open to, whatever you guys kind of suggest a little bit. I know cost is not to be an issue on these kind of things. However, obviously, as a business owner, I would like to try to negotiate as much as I can to keep costs down.
So as far as the windows go, the windows we're looking at have all been replaced.
Windows were all replaced. There was windows missing when we bought it, and mostly in the rear. And then there was one that was on the side that was cracked. And then in the front, there was a vinyl window there, as you can see. So obviously we were going to replace those bottom ones regardless because they weren't matching. And then just because it kind of made sense to just replace all the rest while we had those, we went with that route.
When you replaced the windows, did you downsize any of the openings?
No, everything from a blueprint standpoint, everything is the same as it was before.
You took the two and the three part, or was essentially an original three part, and created one big window, so that's a different structure from what was here.
But the external framing
Is the same?
is the same dimensions, yes,
Really
yes.
interesting. Okay.
And you said the siding is on top of old siding, the new one.
Mhm. Yeah,
So I think that's one place we would probably start.
Oh.
So we all agree that that would be the route to go.
okay.
Is to south, like remove what you can. I know, again, it's not personal. This is, what you've done is great. It just doesn't fit.
Mhm.
So removing the existing siding, going back to walls, then repairing it so when, you can then go that route. That would be a thought.
Can you speak a little bit to the condition of the siding before it's covered up? Based on the photos from 2023, it obviously looks faded, but
Mhm.
with the limited photos we have, it doesn't look deteriorated. I'm just
Yeah,
curious if you
it's-
could provide a little bit more commentary about the existing condition.
Fairly good condition. Not a wood siding expert. I think where there's some miscolorations, like in the upper left hand right there. Anything that looks like that, I think was a little bit more of a, I mean, maybe it could just be power washed. I don't think there was many that were falling off, maybe one or two pieces here and there, but for the most part, pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
These situations are always really unfortunate.
Mhm.
But we have to approach this with what we would have approved.
Mhm.
Had it come to us and we would not have approved the siding, we would not have approved the changing the windows.
Mhm.
So the windows, as far as I would see, would have to be returned. See if you closed, under the soffits, where it was open before, that will also have to be returned. I'm a little concerned about the shingles also. What did
I'm
you?
not sure that the soffits are is there? I'm a little confused on what you said about the soffits.
I think.
So originally the house had open soffits, the tails went over, and it's gonna open up and under.
At least.
I thought we still had that, but maybe not.
Bring up the blue,
Yeah, that's-
okay.
that's-
I see that, yeah.
And I may just be misreading the photo here, but if you bring up this one at the side.
Yeah.
look
Oh,
like
does it have it? Okay.
Enclosed with plastic. And so these are details, but they're things that you need to say, we don't end up coming back over and over again. The railing, well, the original, or the railing that was there when you bought the house, was not the original railing, but I assume you wanted to replace it, so it would have to be replaced with something appropriate. Probably in this case, it would be closed, although we have, yeah.
So it could just be wood solid.
Yeah, I mean, that's generally probably the style of the house.
You can go, and really, we're not here to be your architect.
Right.
Or your designer or propose. You really have to kind of let us know what you're going to propose ultimately. We could make a decision upon you saying simply, no, I want to stick with what I have, but you get to live with that decision, how, what the group decides. But really, you've got options of either picket rails or hard rails, which is the hard flat panels. And you can see those existing, either those examples in the neighborhood already, or, staff give you guidance either based on other submissions or other similar homes or the guidelines themselves, I think state, top full to rails. So that's probably one of the easier things. Yeah, the hardest, probably toughest thing to talk about, unfortunately, is the roof. We understand you put a new roof on, but it's not the approved shingle, that's correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
So, and you didn't present before us, so, I don't know how the commission feels about, the roof scenario.
One of the easiest things to do is try and find a house that looks like that, like the original house. A lot of these houses, they were built the same house, but it hasn't been renovated. Use that as a model, that usually gets. But yeah, the roof is a difficulty.
And really, we would want you to, propose to us what you would either choose to replace it with.
Mhm.
There are roofs on a pre-approved list where it's a staff approval, where pieces of this would then come off of this. I think this item here, and you can start advancing things sooner than later. Especially when it's something like a roof. Versus I think, a window package probably has to come back to staff for re-review and approval here at this body. And if we're comfortable with referring it on to staff approval, we could do that if all the details are correct. Is there anything here that we could say we could live with from a perspective here, just looking down this list? There's everything here from replacing doors to, light fixtures. I don't know if some people would consider the expanded footprint of the deck in the back to be troublesome, or is that something with modified railings that can be left to be?
Was that on there when?
The deck was there. We just changed the railing.
Condition, so we could live with that as an existing condition. However, it's hard to know when it was put on. I guess we could make ourselves believe that it was put on.
Kind of tucked around the corner, maybe out of view.
Yeah, it would probably not have been approved, but it's hard to know whether it was put on before or after it became a historical district.
Mhm.
And since it was there when you bought it, probably.
It's tucked away, so we could live with that. It's tucked away.
Yeah, we have a fence up.
Okay, so perhaps there might be one thing here then we can consider. Jacqueline, a little bit of guidance here. What do we do about it's almost like this little pop-out doghouse, if you will, in the back, the 1-story. That looks to have a real low pitch in the last photo. I don't know what even the roofing material was. What is the roofing material on this little pop-out that has a low pitch?
I believe we put shingle, just regular asphalt shingles.
It is asphalt
Yeah.
shingles as well. Okay.
I don't think it had any shingles on there before when we bought it. I think it just had a rubber.
Like a membrane.
Yeah. Again, we're not your architects, but the angle for asphalt shingle seems a little shallow.
I think it's, I mean, I can't remember on that, honestly.
To you.
Yeah, if you can get a warranty.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't judge.
Yeah,
on that,
it's no, but on those shallow, we do and have allowed other materials.
Yeah.
To be used because. The shingles on the roof though are not off the approved list, is that correct? And they're a.
It would appear to be a dimensional shingle that would change that.
Yeah, the sample I brought in was not what we have technically. It's the same kind of material, but it's not dimensional like our roof is. I couldn't get the dimensional on the time that it was available.
And for the fence, that's something we'll need to look at, but sometimes fences or a lot of the time can be staff approved. So we'll just need photos to show what kind of fence was installed. Yeah.
The other questions ultimately is whether, ultimately, I guess the question becomes really for the applicant in this case, which is, would you rather, do you want us to render decisions on pieces of this, on the entire thing? Or do you want to come back to the commission and we just push down the road, we delay any decision on it so you can come back to us with a plan of, based on our discussion this evening?
I've reached out to a different contractor, that maybe we can discuss like what we can propose. I think he's been through this before. I think
Because
that
it would
might
be
be a
good
good
if you come
idea.
back and say, hey, here's the windows I'm proposing,
Mhm.
here are the drawings. If you come back and say, here's the roofing I'm proposing, same with front doors, light fixture. It may be a benefit for you to formulate your own game plan first and look at all things. I mean, generally, I think there's consensus here to maybe leave the deck footprint on the back as is. You'll probably have to just the railings to be historically correct, but at least that gives you one thing. And just, I think you need time to probably look at what your best options are for your siding.
Okay.
I'm not seeing too much maybe love for the vertical siding in a historic district since it's probably not appropriate. So it gives you time to probably look at the condition of what your wood siding is, and do you need to repair the wood siding, or do you need to consider alternate products, cement products, other smooth products? You know, is there enough of it intact that you can just do repairs?
Mhm.
You can formulate your own kind of plan to proceed forward. If that's what you'd like.
That sounds good.
So we can make a motion to continue and then we'll put you on the agenda next month. We can get you a couple of weeks to get it to your lip.
The most critical thing I would urge you to do is to stay in touch with staff
Okay.
on your continuation,
Okay.
so that, you know, they can then, you guys can correspond.
Can I ask about garage? It was
Sure.
painted before.
It was,
It was painted before.
So you're just asking for repaint within roof colors,
okay,
the neighborhood, right? And what about the roof on the garage?
same as this one. Yeah.
Okay.
If
Is
there
there-
are questions as you're looking through things, feel free to reach out. We're always happy to answer, provide our recommendations, which you're gonna follow the guidelines similar to the commission.
Sounds good.
Is there a motion to continue?
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, having a motion, a second, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, abstention, motion passes. We'll see you again next month. If not make it for next month, please, again, just connect with staff, just keep in communication, but I don't know what your status is.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we move on here, let's just check, is anybody here for 732 Oakwood Avenue? Nope. Okay, we're gonna keep that one till later then. Moving on to case number 5, 611 Oakwood Avenue, HR 240209.
Good afternoon.
If you could raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening?
Yes,
If you could state your full name and association with the property.
Eric Talegdi, project manager.
Wonderful, thank you. Jack?
I think this application for 611 Oakwood Avenue is for construction of a new garage. The single story wood frame 2-car garage with 2 doors at the rear or west of the parcel for the submitted materials. At the February 1st business meeting, the commission did not identify any issues that jumped out. However, we did not have a quorum at that meeting, so the application remained on the agenda. The staff recommendation is to recommend approval of application HR 2402009 as submitted with any clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of the certificate. That basis for the staff recommendation is based on the guidelines for garages and outbuildings on pages 85 to 87, as well as the city code 316.12 standards for new construction. Turn it over to the commission.
Is there anything additional the applicant would add?
Nothing. I mean, unless you need me to answer anything.
Any questions from the commission?
No, it looks like it's standard. Sure. I move to approve HR -24-02-009 at 611 Oakwood Avenue as submitted.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? Abstention, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I do have a question. My contractor could potentially like break ground tomorrow. Is that
You have to
acceptable?
talk with staff about getting the
It's-
appropriate paperwork.
Within 3 to 5 business days, we'll get you your COA back to you.
We'll wait. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to case number 6, 734 Wilson Avenue. Good evening. If you could both raise your right. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening?
Yes, I do.
If you could each state your full name and association with the property for record.
Perfect. Amanda Williams, I am the designer.
Tom Sawyer, owner.
Okay, wonderful. Jack?
This application for 734 Wilson Avenue is proposing to replace missing front and rear doors and sidelights with new further submitted materials, and to finish the rear sleeping porch by adding jambs and screening, install porch ceiling light fixtures per the submitted cut sheets, and install railing at the rear steps. Currently, there has been glass black windows installed at some point, as well as an exterior pipe. And then landscaping, the applicant is proposing to remove the retaining wall and regrade the front wall. So for staff analysis, staff recommends that a scale or measured elevation of the proposed rear porch proposal in context is submitted, and recommend that the piping protruding from the basement window at that south elevation is either painted to match the building to help visually blend that in, and or is relocated if possible. So the February business meeting, the commissioners present noted they are supportive of removing the retaining wall and regrading to match the adjacent properties. Asked if the plan is to use grass, ivy, or other plantings, or if lawn will be something other than grass. In luncheon, they would want to know what additional plantings are. The commission asked that if a salvage door will be used, to include a photo of the salvage door in stock so the commission can evaluate, and noted that any new doors should fit the original openings and avoid downsizing. And the commission asked that a scale and measure drawing of the sleeping porch, especially with the jambs, be submitted and include a little more detail on that proposed trend. So code enforcement did identify that fencing, glass black windows have been installed and some kind of approval, and that there's some identification of disrepair or voids in the retaining wall, and then the sea camera on the rear steps. However, it's unclear when the glass block windows were installed. The applicant let us know that they removed the wooden boards, that glass block windows were in place, and those wooden boards have been for quite some time. So the new portion would be the pipe projecting from that basement window at that south elevation. And regarding the fencing, staff is able to support the privacy fencing as it is a board-on-board style and its location at the rear of the property, provided the height of grade is either 6 feet or less. So in response to the business meeting feedback, the applicant has submitted updated materials. So overall, staff recommends approval of application HR 2402010 at 734 Wilson Avenue with the following conditions. And that is that a scaled measured elevation of the rear porch, east elevation, including the jam trim detail, is submitted. And then the piping protruding from the basement window is either painted to match the building and or relocated. So the basis for the staff recommendation is the city code 316.13 standards for site improvements, specifically letter A. The city code standards for alteration 316.11, specifically number 12. And the guidelines regarding porches and stoops, fences, windows, doors, and lighting. And with that, I'll turn it over to the commission.
What would the applicant like to add?
Thank you. Yes, we were applying for that sleeping porch. Is that what we want to start with here, or?
Whatever you'd like to
Okay.
add before we just move into general discussion.
Okay, sure.
Is there anything you want to specifically note or talk about?
The only thing I would like to specifically note is we have had multiple professionals come out and talk to us about the door. The existing door opening that is left, which I sent pictures of, is very rotted. And so we're not able to use any of it in the existing opening. So we are asking that we could use a door that we could purchase that would fit in with the side lights in the transom versus having the whole thing rebuilt by hand. So as you can imagine, that is quite out of budget.
Yeah, it looks like the door that's there is not the original door
I would agree.
anyway. It doesn't match the styles. So, so I don't think it's an issue with that, and you're rebuilding it in an appropriate style. And so I think it's fine.
Just a clarification, is the proposal still to rebuild the side lights, or is the applicant asking if they could submit like a single unit door and side lights?
On page. Okay. On the front exterior door slide. As you can see, the picture of on the interior on the transom, I tried to find a door that we could purchase as one piece that matched that profile and comes in a stainable wood.
I think it's at the top of that, of the whole thing. No, there, it looks like this.
Page 13.
There we go. That's the first one I sent you, Jacqueline. This is on the new one that I sent you on this. There we go.
There, that page.
So I went inside and we actually, took all those boards off, and if you can see that wood profile on the bottom of the side light, I tried to find a door that matched that wood profile that we could purchase, as one unit with the transom as well, and that is a stainable door. Outside of that, my proposal would be to, go to the salvage area and see if we can find something that matches up with what I believe would be the original door and have everything rebuilt. But as you can see, that frame is completely rotted and termite damage. So we can't save any of that.
So the new door being proposed though will be exactly the same as the original opening, correct?
From what I can see on the inside, yes, that new grand entry door link up top would be a stainable wood with the same profile as the interior.
Except it's adding, a top element, that's not, so that will open.
There actually is a transom, it's just underneath, there's a transom opening, it's just underneath that drywall. It was drywalled in. So we would actually, just bring that drywall up and place it right into place.
I think it's a good idea.
Very good stuff here.
And what about the sleeping porch? Issues there. Right, it's still basically a sleeping porch.
Just move the screen to
Screens.
Yeah, the only thing I think I'd just like to echo staff's recommendation for some detail about how that trim work actually plays out. I think the elevation gives a good massing and understanding the scale of how the overall facade's gonna look, but there'll be some detailing in terms of how you finish that out.
Okay, great. Also, this is the owner, Tommy Har, and he actually is an inspector too. So he's very up to par with city code and will build that to code.
Absolutely.
The fence, can you confirm the height?
Yeah, so the fence, a little misunderstanding, as you know, the city no longer requires a fence permit. And so when I first conferred with my client, I let him know what you guys would allow and what the property line would be allowed. They didn't realize they had to have the COA to move forward with that. So the fence is a dog-eared panel fence. It does start at the rear of the property. It is in line with your requirements. They just jumped the gun because they didn't realize they needed that based on the city requirements. So we are asking for approval of that as well.
It's, and the height is,
It's 6 foot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
I apologize about jumping the gun on that.
I think.
this is his first historic property, so.
I was gonna say, I think on that, I think we need probably documentation as a follow-up submitted to staff, right? So,
confirming the height.
yeah, photos of it, and really confirmation of what it is and where it is.
Okay.
Okay, and I did add that to the plot plan.
You think you have enough photos?
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
Quite a few.
There's also a garage application that will come right after this. And then there's some additional photos of the rear yard as well, which the fence is there.
Okay.
What are you proposing for the glass block? Basement.
yeah, so the glass block, Tommy purchased this house from someone that was already in the works, which I know you guys have a previous application. Once they removed that, there was glass block underneath it. at this point, we'd hate to have him spend the money to tear all that brand new out, especially since there are so many homes in the district that already have it. My recommendation would be, and my recommendation to them would maybe be to paint those white windows that the last guy already put in to make that match the historic color that we have on the rest of the windows. And none of those are our home, those are just in the neighborhood. And then, as you said, paint that pipe that is sticking out.
No shutters. Still open for this. Putting in the direction I was living almost.
For the glass block.
I do think the glass block has been in there for some time.
Is there any chance that the glass block predates the district, or what year is this district? No.
Dear district, but yes, it is possible. The building, the basement windows in particular have been boarded for more than a decade. So they could have been installed, maybe around the early 2000s or late 90s, it's possible.
So that could be a little.
Rare. You know, and
Maybe it's
they
specific.
don't appear in the historical photos.
And I think code noticed it because the coverage.
Yeah,
That's
right.
important. That's
Right,
why
they were here.
citation.
They would be in good shape, but. One way or the other. Yeah, I think in the past, when we haven't been able to determine if something was done before it became a district, we tended to lean towards, we don't have any evidence, so we don't take jurisdiction.
1886.
86 became conservative. And they were doing glass blocking by that time a lot. I mean, that was kind of getting a big trend for it, especially in neighborhoods with fear of break-ins.
I mean, Stuart, I almost like we've had some residents or people discuss like simply leaving windows covered over, painting those things to match the pieces of the house. If we sort of paused on the glass block windows alone, taking it kind of aside, maybe you could look at options for putting a louver over it or a shutter over it or what, I mean, maybe, I feel like I just don't want to reach a knee-jerk reaction on this one item. Given there's a lot of gray on this one, maybe if it just taking the plywood off, sitting there and there's no evidence that they're new.
No, I don't think there's.
And you've already agreed to paint out the pipe and do some other things, so.
Yeah, I mean, if you do sort of a shutter combination that looks like a shutter, goes over it, it's painted neutral like the house. It might just all go away with that aesthetic. You just wouldn't get, obviously, the infill light basically.
So.
Would that be approved in the material that we used on the porch ceiling of like the board and batten tongue and groove look?
So we want to consider whatever's going to be most durable, because there's a lot of water splash, a lot of things. So we're not necessarily design it for you, but we would consider whatever.
Sure, sure.
Just from a,
So Jacqueline, we did notice on page 24, if you, see, there's what looks like it might even be right there. So below the window, if you can zoom in and keep zooming in and sliding down, right underneath the bay window there. It looks like in 98, I think Lisa documented that I think that's the glass block window sitting there.
Yeah.
So at least 98.
Yeah.
So kind of,
So
this is existing, so we can't require it to change because it's there.
It has, I do think they have been there for a while, either way.
now we would, as a commission, need to take one out, replace one, et cetera. We're not likely to approve that.
Sure. And
Forward.
Tommy his plan is to sell the house, so we just want to get it into the next owner's hands. So is our goal here.
And advise the next owner. You decide to do anything with those glass block windows, you're probably not gonna get them replaced as well.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
so no louvers on those?
No, we won't need to do that. We just need to paint the pipe.
I don't think we could make it, but louvers on it, that's because they were there. It's a condition.
Right.
It is better than the rotted plywood, I will say that.
some of the detail.
Was this conceptual or was this an application?
This is
correct.
this is an application.
Okay, so I just approved it all.
What about the sleeping porch?
Yeah, what we can do is we can, on the
Yeah.
motion, yeah, we can make a motion to
Condition?
require additional details to be moved by staff. If they submit something that seems out of line, then she'll say, and what let's look at this.
I agree.
May I ask, if we choose just to go with the window that was approved in the rest of the house and just restore all of those windows, would that be staff approved versus going back and forth again?
Window restoration is generally staff approval if you make an appropriate submission.
Okay, we have quoted both out. Obviously, the one is very out of our budget, but waiting another month is also out of our budget. So we're trying to weigh our options here.
Do you mean for the basement windows or?
No, I'm sorry, for the sleeping porch, because as you can see, there were some sort of a window there and the jambs have since been removed. So we're requesting to put the jambs back and we're requesting to put a screen, but if it would be a faster approval to add the window in it.
I think staff just needs additional detail how the millwork and stuff is gonna be done.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I don't think they're asking for anything onerous. I think you just need to probably provide a couple little details in here.
Perfect.
Probably there. Yeah, sure.
Great, thank you.
You guys already discussed the removal.
All
That was
right,
great.
what was it?
Yeah, returning the one.
Yeah.
You guys are all right?
Okay, which is best friend.
Yeah, the issues are usually the other way.
Yeah.
They break in.
Well,
So,
Make a motion to approve, HR 2402 734 Wilson Avenue as presented, with a note that the applicant will provide, required details for the sleeping porch to stop.
for staff, you would, great.
Stop.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any further discussion?
I'd also like to note, for applicant, it's still option 1 and option 2 in the package in terms of the door, so
Okay.
continue that clarification with staff as well.
Same thing with lighting. Great.
Did you like, or, paint, or the piping?
Okay.
The piping that's kind of, the basement top window.
Yeah, I think we could note that as the applicant actually agreed already, or it's just they were willing to paint that, so.
And you want that painted the same color as the existing trim and caps?
Yeah, I'll put that in the presentation.
Great.
Great. And that is the Downing sand color that's on historic panel.
Okay, great. Any further clarifications needed? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, opposition? Abstention? Motion passes. Moving on to then the second application we have here, HR 2402-010. Sorry, moving on to 011, that's the garage. Correct.
Right. Okay, so same location here, 734 Wilson Avenue. This is the proposal for the garage. Now, this portion is conceptual. So the proposal here is to construct a single-story wood frame two-car garage at the rear east elevation for cement materials and to repave the existing driveway. So the historic garage was previously approved for demolition in 2017 due to deterioration. So that's why you'll see that garage in some of the older photos. The garage has been historically. So the materials for this application that will need to be confirmed include the materials that will be used for repaving the roof and driveway and the garage driveway. And staff recommends that the 1x6 lintel is reflected on the elevation drawing of the garage. Recommend that the light fixture cut sheets are submitted. Recommend avoiding foam hardware. And then the applicant has noted that no variances are required for this proposal. The garage, more specifically, is proposed to have the overporting, pre-attached shingles from the approved list with metal ridge roll and siding would be smooth vinyl sterling gray with a 4.5-inch reveal. And that trim would be wood. Garage doors are proposed to be DMR Heritage Carriage House. So at the February 1st business meeting, the commission asked if the driveway to the garage is intended to be at the rear or if the existing driveway is proposed to extend all the way through. And the commission noted that they appreciate the retaining of the nurturing trees. So staff recommendation is that the commission should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to the refined proposal review at a future HRC meeting. And the staff recommendation basis is the city code 316.13 standards for site improvements, specifically letter A, and the guidelines regarding garages and outbuildings and lighting, as well as the city code 316.12 standards for new construction.
Wonderful. What else would the applicant like to add?
Not much to add. Like we said, we'd like to keep the mature trees and take out the, as you can see, the concrete pad that those trees are inhibiting. The driveway does sort of still kind of come up to that pad, but not really. It's just kind of a pile of dirt. So we would like to not touch any of that, and just make that primary parking space the rear garage.
So you're just gonna discontinue using the pad on the side? Okay. And thinking about, how does the applicant feel about some of the staff's comments on clarifications and notes?
So, Jewel Construction is the garage builder who's built hundreds of garages in the historic district. This is the packet he gave me. I'm working really hard to try to find his cut sheets. I've found some of them. And I can add the light fixture to this packet. Not
So you're amenable to the comments?
Yeah.
It's ready to go. It's approval based on submission, cut sheets.
Motion.
And do we know, like, is the ribbon garage, is that asphalt or concrete?
It would be concrete.
It's conceptual,
It's for action.
It's conceptual, but you could move into action.
Okay.
It was just placed in conceptual at the time. We didn't quite have the full materials.
I'll also appreciate the removing the concrete around the mature trees. I think that's great. So,
Thank you. We're lucky we have the option to do that on the lines.
For case HR 24-0211, 734 Wilson Avenue. While it's conceptual, making a motion for action to approve as is, of course, with required details, it's moving from conceptual.
Okay.
So you'd be including all of the staff, they would have to make all the staff adjustments as
So
specified.
work with staff with all the drawings and measurements and whatever.
I mean, that should all be in the packet. The only thing you might be missing at this point is the light fixture.
So currently, the lintel is not reflected on the elevation drawings. It has a note in there that'll be there. The actual drawing doesn't show that 1x6 lintel. And then the other thing, I think we could probably make a note, a staff note about that there were chart bears. That's something we could do a higher requirement, or if you would like to revise that, that's fine as well. And yeah, I think the only other thing would be the light fixture sheets.
Okay, great. That's not a problem.
Second,
So having a motion in a second. Okay. And with the clarifications, your the
Yeah.
motion or your fine, Jack's clarifications. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
including Japanese application.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Moving on to 686 South Ohio Avenue. If you could raise your right hand, please swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening.
yes.
If you could state your full name and association with property.
Stephanie Rice, SES Home Improvements and Design.
Wonderful, thank you. Jack.
This application for 686 South Ohio Avenue, it was previously reviewed conceptually at the February hearing and is now proposed for action. The work is to install new windows on the first, second, and basement floors, installing 2 new doors at the primary west elevation and then the rear east elevation, to rebuild a hole in the brick exterior wall, to repair this falling brick, repair the split stone lintel with lime mortar, to rebuild the eaves and gutters, remove the metal exterior stairs, repair, replace damaged, deteriorated, or missing wood trim elements as necessary to match existing, to construct a new front porch at the west elevation and a rear porch at the east elevation, to replace cellar doors with new cellar doors, and to install gutters and downspouts. So as mentioned, application for exterior work, including porches, windows, doors, painting, light fixture, and roofing was previously approved by 4 different applicants in April 2022. However, that did not move forward. And at some point in time, a new dimensional asphalt roofing shingles between that time and currently with a wood shape style and cut shingle tabs on ridges were installed. And that's estimated to be somewhere between July and September 2022. So in general, staff recommends that any paired windows have a mullion in between rather than confined into a single unit. It does appear that most of these will have that. I would just note on sheet 810 that front window, we want to make sure it matches having that mullion closer to the east. And then the applicant has been corresponding with staff regarding basement windows. So they have submitted some additional cut sheets for basement windows. The only thing we just want to make sure is that there is at least one basement window that does have an existing mullion. So you just want to make sure that the windows that go on either side of the mullion are the single light since there is already one existing. And then moving on, so just in general, the applicant has submitted revised drawings as well as a cut sheet for proposed cellar doors, which the commission had asked about, and cut sheets for the new brick. And the applicant is proposing that a new window be shorter at the rear location. And this is where the previous window opening was bricked in. And the purpose of this would be to accommodate the bathroom. The applicant has marked up that location, the drawing that's being shown on the screen, so you can see where that would be located. So in general, staff recommends approval of application HR 24-02-0112 or 012 686 South Ohio Avenue to be approved with the following conditions. And that is that drawing 810 is revised to include the mullion between the paired windows rather than combining them into a single unit. And that the basement windows are updated. So for the recommendation, the basis is the City Code 316.11 standards for alteration, specifically numbers 1, 2, 5, 10, and 12, and the guidelines regarding porches and stoops and windows, and the amendments to the guidelines regarding the religious net. I will go over to the commission.
What would the applicant like to add additionally?
I think all the information has been provided.
Okay, and do you agree? So is that? Yes. Do you also agree though with the changes that staff is suggesting regarding mullion?
Yes, then we will provide that information.
Okay. Open this up to commission.
The window that, they want to reduce the size, it looks like the photograph shows that it was already reduced, so it's an existing condition. If I looking at the back up there, where
the giant hole in the wall is?
where the hole in the wall is.
Ventilation.
That was ventilation. Is the window on the drawing there, is that the size that you want, or did you want it smaller than that?
No, it will be smaller than that.
Okay, so you're thinking you want like half that, like the top half, or?
Correct. If you look at the elevation and then we look at where the door is in the back, so it will kind of go the same, align with that.
If you want to, why don't you go ahead and step up? You can show us.
Yeah, so the, good point. I mean, it's just in here.
She wants to make it small.
Yeah, because that half, it's like,
So it will match with this, with this patient. With a lid.
But I think his question is do you want to make that, are you advocating to make that window smaller in dimension or no?
Does the drawing represent what you want to do currently?
Correct.
So that's the size of the window.
Correct.
oh,
That
okay,
is-
Great.
okay, I'm good with that.
I got.
Yeah, I do, we have misunderstood, but.
But she's just saying it's gonna go up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay,
And the applicant is willing to clarify also for us that she will take into consideration Jacqueline's recommendations already and implement what staff already sees regarding all these basement windows, so.
It does look like that opening is higher than the proposed location of the new window.
Correct, and that's correct because they started some work And they were trying to fix that wall, exterior wall, until they realized that they needed to pull special permit.
Right,
So they stopped. So that's not really related to the hole of the window that were proposed.
right. And so with the patching of that brickwork, I'm assuming that we'll be able to just use the existing brick that's removed for the window to patch.
And yeah, that's a great idea.
At least the ones that were.
I'm excited about this. It's the future of this house.
It looks like a good plan. I mean, it'll be beautiful when it's finished.
Yes.
So I remember we had a discussion about the chimneys before. So tell me a little bit more about what's going on with those.
Yeah, so I transferred all that information to their team and they rebuilt the chimney as a one that was beside to the house. So they pretty much copy the size and all the details of that.
So you're gonna rebuild them.
Yeah, we will.
Have you selected the brick to do that, or do you have existing brick?
We have done other historical renovations, so I can provide those
Okay,
type
can you
of
provide a
brick.
sample?
Yeah,
Maybe something that would be reasonable for the staff.
Do we, yeah, I was gonna say, do you think you're okay with staff approval on our brick?
That's the way to go. Feel comfortable for decisions.
And you are replacing the asphalt shingles with new roof from the roof.
from the proof, yes. In the rear of the property, was there some kind of addition in the back that you pulled down? You see a roof line against the back wall?
There's like a ghost there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys change something there, or do you have any historic photographs that let's see in the back? To be honest, I'm not sure, because the owner bought the house like that, so. That's the question.
Yes, I do remember this happening. So this property, I think is the third time I've seen this property come in on this commission.
You want
And
to finish it?
I don't recall there actually being anything in any of the
I
previous.
don't know historically what it should be.
Yeah, I mean, the ghost in there looks like it was a porch.
Yeah.
Because it's exterior brick, so it would not have been an addition. And they are building a porch, which may not exactly be the same size. But I don't think we can require them to.
Because of the shadow.
Because, yeah, and because it's not existing now. It'd be different if they would have wanted to replace it and, you know, tearing it off. There's nothing there now, so accepting the property as is, that porch seems to be appropriate, even though it may be a little smaller.
Wouldn't fight over, I just was curious.
And from what I recall from the application that was submitted by a prior applicant, the 2022-2021 time, the photos there also do not show the commercial distance.
Sure, and were there any other notes to the? I think it's just followed on the rituals and basement notes. Yeah, changes for staffs.
Move to approve HR 24-02-012-686 South Ohio Avenue with the stipulation that applicant works with staff on brick selection. And what was it about the
And makes adjustments to the windows
Volume.
for the.
Okay, and makes adjustments to the basement windows per staff recommendations.
There's a motion, is there a second? I'll second.
That's good.
Second. Having a motion and a second, any further discussion? Jacqueline, any clarification needed? Yeah. Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Jacqueline, I know this next item, it looks like it says building permit issued error on case number 9. Do you want to speak anything to that? Anything for record real quick?
Yeah, so this application, the building and zoning did issue a permit in error. And the applicant had let us know over the phone, we were able to track down the building permit and confirm that. Since the building permit was issued, you know, the applicant went forward thinking that they were okay. So we put this, you know, the agenda.
Okay.
Work was unfortunate, but the applicant does the owner, they own this building and some other properties, they are now aware of the historic district, but in the future, make sure to receive approval for any exterior work for farms.
Okay, thank you for the clarification for record. Moving on to case number 10, 613 South Champion Avenue. Is that the applicant?
Here we are.
Okay, if you could both stand up real quick and raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony for the commission this evening?
I do.
If you could each state your full name and association with the property for the record.
Josh Tomey, architect.
Justin Fryon.
Okay, Jack.
Okay, so this application for 613 South Champion Avenue, it is a result of the code violation. So this involves landscaping and hardscape as well as some exterior alterations. So for landscaping, there has been installation of an asphalt parking lot at the rear and west of the building, installation of board-on-board wood fencing, removal of, I think, approximately 2 trees, installation of AC units and screening of those units with board-on-board fencing, painting or alteration of the basement stairwell. And then there is a proposed addition to this application to plant a new 2-inch caliber London plane tree and to add additional asphalt parking at the south half of what is currently an existing gravel area, as well as to add topsoil and grass seeding at the north half of that existing gravel area. And new building members have been installed. So for staff analysis, the privacy fencing installed is a board-on-board fencing and it's located on the rear of the property, so staff is able to support recommending approval of the fencing. The AC units replaced earlier AC units in that same location where you'll see that aerials, and they have been screened with the board-on-board privacy fencing. So that's another area that staff is able to recommend supporting. Previously, the rear of the parcel included a lawn and gravel drive, as well as a few mature trees. The entirety of that within the fencing has been paved as an asphalt parking lot. So the February business meeting, the commissioners asked to confirm the fence height. The commission noted that the extent of the asphalt would not have been approved had the application come before installation. They recommended U-block or more permeable material for the expanse of the parking. The commission asked whether any variances are required for the number of parking spaces, noting that some of the parking looked difficult to maneuver and may not meet zoning requirements. The commission noted that the trees that were removed looked to have been mature shade trees, and so asked if the applicant has considered adding trees somewhere back to the site. The commission asked what the plan is for the site outside of this area where there's currently gravel. And so in response to the commission feedback, the applicant has submitted a revised site plan to include a proposed shade tree, restriping to meet site compliance, proposed topsoil and grass seed at that north portion of the gravel area, and proposed additional asphalt paving of the south portion of that gravel area. And then a photo of the new building numbers that have been installed have also been submitted. So for staff recommendations, staff recommends continuing application HR 24-02-014 at 613 South Champion to allow the applicant time to revise the application to meet city code and New Jersey guidelines. The staff recommendation is based on the city code 3.6.13 standards for site improvements, specifically letters A, B, and D. And the city code 3.6.11 standards for alterations, specifically number 12. And the guidelines regarding fences and historical plants and landscaping. With that, I'll turn it over.
2 questions for you, which is, do you have anything to add? But secondarily, do you want to continue it as recommended by staff?
They're looking for further continuations, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think we want to talk about it first in general. I do have stuff to add is that the first site plan, which is the one that we have pulled up, I guess the one that, sorry. I guess go scroll down 1. Yeah, so that was what the first thing was submitted. So the owner, does admit that it was paved in error without permission. We went to the city downtown and this was their first proposed striping plan at the front desk. We did appear with site compliance between the time that this was submitted and the updated one was submitted. So if you scroll up 1, this is their current proposed alignment that they would like to see. So it's the same existing asphalt in the north with the parking spaces perpendicular, but they are requiring an additional driveway in order to access this. They would also like us to remove the entirety of the southern or western fence. So the fence that's currently between the alleyway and the parking lot. So that's what's shown now. Again, they're looking for a 20-foot wide minimum driveway in order to get into this area and the parking spaces as shown. some points of clarification is that if you guys remember, Justin was here a couple of months ago, he did buy the house half, or the apartment building half flipped. So, you know, like the removal of the trees was not by this owner. The installation of some of that 6-foot fencing that's on the southern property was also not by this owner. It was before he purchased the property. So we're just trying to bring those items into compliance at the same time. But yes, this is what it looks like today. The striping does not exist for maneuver, or does not work for maneuverability of any kind. So we are trying to get this appeased with both you guys and with site compliance. So
Did you say in that site plan, you're still using asphalt?
that's what they're asking for. So they also,
They.
sorry, the site compliance group. So traffic management specifically with the city of
They
Columbus.
said use asphalt, no other material.
I guess they didn't say no pervious pavers, but they said it needs to be a hardscape material. They would not allow or support gravel as is currently shown today. So, they also are not supporting the remaining gravel to exist. So they want us to remove anything that implies there could be parking on it, even though it's kind of the condition it was just in previously. So they're asking that we scrape up the gravel and just make it obvious parking is not allowed, in that northwest quadrant.
I know our preference, and we discussed this, we need to have some kind of a pervious material. So if it's not gravel, then that's fine.
I mean, that also might be advantageous. So putting that additional driveway in puts us over 2,000 square feet of paved area, which would require more problems with site compliance in terms of you need a stormwater treatment plan. So it's potentially advantageous in both directions, that new driveway could be more of a pervious paver than a full solid paved area. So the current paving area right now is, I believe, like 1,650 square feet or 1,700 square feet. So the driveway is putting us over for sure, based on their current recommendation.
So I think our general, we like pervious materials.
Sure.
Not asphalt, so that's, I think, something we've discussed.
Yeah.
The site plan, did you say you're gonna put a tree back or a tree bank up? I don't.
Yep, we have it drawn in the current site plan. I'm just showing a London plane tree. I don't know if there are species of trees you guys recommend specifically. I know that's one that the city of Columbus uses all over the place. So I thought that would be nice.
So have you discussed the pervious pavement with the city to this point?
No, we resubmitted our first round of site compliance comments with them. They had a lot of other items they wanted us to address as well, such as, like trash collection, something, even though the building's been there for 70 years, they say like, hey, how is trash collection going to be happening now? Well, the same way as the last 70 years. So we're hoping to knock off like the first 15 items. And if there's, just a couple remaining, I think they would be supportive of that. I hope. I assume that you guys have used it in other locations and that it's been approved as such. I think more their problem was with the gravel getting into the right of way seems to be their reasoning for it, that it can kind of be swept off of the property and damage paved areas. That's what I assumed their interpretation was. So
Tell me, just back up just globally. So,
yeah,
you've got this existing parking lot, the striping plan, we've just learned it's not compliant. You've got two proposed site plans here, and which one are you advocating for them truly?
this one is the current idea. So when Justin contacted me and said that he, had received this notification that it was found in the historic district, the first version, which was the one with the parallel parking spaces, the city had also told us to do, but then they changed their mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
The parallel one's off the table.
That one's just completely off the table.
And then-
This is the one that's, this is the active proposed plan. Yep.
I just want to, sitting on top.
Right. Number of.
Which one are we going?
Yeah,
This one you talked to site compliance, this striping plan and.
This is a result of the first round of site compliance comments. Yep.
Right. Okay. So I'm also in favor of the pervious pavement. I don't know if the city will allow you to do that.
I've never asked them, but I mean, they're pretty responsive. I can email them.
Yeah.
Basically just something that allows the rain to trickle through, instead of preventing it from flowing through, so. I'm not sure what their take on that is. You guys might know more than I do, honestly,
What is that?
if they are supportive of pervious pavers.
So that is it. So we can review it in relation to context and we can recommend, and I think it's very clear that you have advocacy and are recommending. In fact, Jacqueline could even help you have a conversation with them that the commission is recommending for
Sure.
waivers. However, ultimately, since they rule on stormwater and site plan compliance, there's going to have to be a dialogue about what they will accept, and then probably an ultimate final approval yet to come with us, because we couldn't even rule on this if we wanted to this evening, since you're in this process of still solidifying your plan, getting your plan approval.
Mhm. Well, they will not give us plan approval before you guys do, so you will be first.
I think we can safely go on record that we're advocating for the Furbies.
Right, so in terms of just things you'd like to see as updates, is that the only item, or do we need to talk about the other items?
The tree.
Tree is on there.
Oh, but it's 2 inch gap. It's
Mhm.
feet. I know. Can you?
Get a tree.
Yeah, can you get a bigger tree?
Can we get a?
yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Can you commit to a caliper, so we have that?
I mean, is 3 inches a good caliper? I mean, I see this.
The experts on these matters.
If you can find one, I would go for 2 trees over 1 tree, if they're both 2 inch calipers, that's what
Okay.
that's suggested.
That's a good.
Yeah, I mean, that works too.
Are you a landscaper too?
Yes,
Isn't the London plane like spread canopy though kind of bigger than the space we have?
yeah,
You're gonna find two different
you
locations.
might have trouble finding a
Right.
tree, but you might be able to.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what Oakland
See
Nursery
what
offers.
you can.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have something bigger to begin with, and it'd be good for the property too.
Do you have any examples of papers that you perhaps considered?
I think I would want to confer with him first about, what he'd like to put in before.
It's probably an under system that has to get considered when putting that in and cost.
And I assume we have to live with the driveway and fence changes recommended.
We're in a weird spot in that this is technically a commercial property because there are 6 units.
Right.
So that's why we're in this loop of site compliance.
Purgatory.
So the answer to my question is yes, we have to live with those.
What is it
It's
against?
kind of this purgatory issue.
Yes, right,
Yeah.
yeah. It's the first time I've been involved with something like this. So it's like-
Yeah, I mean, the driveway width required seems like extreme overkill to me, but
And the fence as well.
they treat 6 units the same as 600, and so that's where we are.
We'll have a screening requirement because it's going through site plan compliance and maneuverability in driveways, we would have to review for context. I don't know that we could
That was my assumption. I just wanted to verify.
overrule.
Yeah.
We have to go to BZA as well, no matter what, there will be variances because the pavement is within easement zones. There are easements to the property to the north and to the south, and so that just automatically triggers a BZA appearance for us. So it's really good.
Additionally, sort of, so thinking about your coming back to the commission again, is if you can make sure you have your list of variances that you're going to need, because they're going to ask for our recommendation for approval, not an approval, but they'll ask for a recommendation on that. I think it would be good to be able to do that in the next round.
I have an email from
To
Chris-
support you on those things so that we
Yeah.
don't have to come back getting it.
I have an email from Christine. She's just going to confirm with our official submission that we put in, I think, on Monday for the next round of compliance. So I should have those easily.
So continue the application then?
So moved.
One item that does not involve site compliance are the numbers. That's something that we can have a discussion.
Building numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is now the condition.
This is the current condition.
And the next picture is the previous condition.
Yes.
This being a commercial building, does this fall under signage code? I just have to ask that,
Yeah.
I think it just depends whether we consider another signage regardless, a sign is a sign, whether it's commercial property or residential property. Typically, house numbers, I don't think we follow signage too much, but also they're larger than usual.
If we look at this as a sign as opposed to a house number, are we out of compliance on this?
Size wise, I'm going to guess that it is larger then the guidelines by not serving us the size. Placement does seem more, I mean, it's not, if the Williams don't have the sign band. But I guess there are a couple of things, if it was considered signage, that it might not meet for signage guidelines.
Because, I mean, one could look at that as like, yeah, what's the name of your building at 613? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then look at it as a title, then are they still out?
Well, size, we have to discuss size, but to me personally, it doesn't look obnoxious. It looks 613, it's just three numbers, it looks, I don't know how, if it's big in size, bigger than one, then we have to talk about it. Just three.
Wall signs, just in general, 25 square feet maximum. I'm not sure what this would shake out to.
25 square feet.
I figured those numbers.
Those are all 2 foot numbers, and they
2
were
foot height.
they're about a foot apart, so you're probably looking about 8 feet in total.
What's the width of that 6'3"?
I want to say 10 inches. Yeah, it's close to a foot, you know that.
That's a foot.
Yeah, if you draw a rectangle around it.
You have to calculate the space in between.
If you drew a rectangle around it, it'd be like 10 square.
8 feet of height.
What was the maximum you said, Jackie?
Wall signs 25 square feet or something.
Below that.
It's 8 by 1, or it's 8 square feet.
Yeah, it's about eight. It's about 8 or 9.
Maybe there's worthy documentation that can be brought forward on this, then we could, like.
I ordered off
Tape
Amazon.
out, measure
Yeah.
height and width on it, just.
So yeah, could just draw a rectangle from the
Right.
top of it to the bottom of it and say it's X square feet.
Let's think about it.
Yeah. absolutely.
And yeah,
It's a little bit bigger than a foot. Just based on the brick size, yeah, it's more like 18 inches width, but he's probably still not gonna put it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because, I mean, because it's a commercial building, we can look at it
Might
like
get way
signs,
behind this house.
because there's no other signage on the building. You know, for rent type of, you know, or whatever, that's kind of the sign, so, yeah. I think we could support that, maintain that precedence for the future.
and just to confirm, there's no lighting on the signage, it's just flat.
It's just letters.
I think just follow up documentation, probably get over that. Any other questions or comments or clarification, any Jack, before we?
I think I'm okay. I don't think the applicant has any problem here.
My only question is, we don't appear at business meeting ever again, right? It's just next month's meeting would be when we would appear again.
So it's the same cycle.
Okay,
Business meetings are optional, so if you're not able to make it, that's okay. Well, if there's additional feedback, but you are welcome to attend, of course, if you're
Right.
able to.
and at the business meeting, if you guys had quorum and we knew the answers, would that approve it, or would we just appear again next month?
If the commission is in support of it and there's no
Right.
concern, questions and all that, and there's a quorum, they do have the option to move an application to staff.
Okay, so just to confirm with you guys, it's the driveway, can we do pervious, and then the caliber of the tree or potentially 2 trees is our main action items. Well, and measuring
You
them.
tell us the signage.
Yeah, and just recommendation, just get your variance, those
Variances.
together, so we can move that.
I think they have to move part of the fence, so.
Yeah, that's
The second one.
that's site compliance.
And just looking at the site plan,
So we just need to.
if you bring back up the site plan real quick, you're gonna be taking down this fence along the north, south side? Or
West side.
west side.
Yeah,
Are
the
they
side
gonna
facing the
require,
alley.
so will they require you to have headlight screening or anything else?
Well, there's a fence, like the full like lines, and the parking spaces face right into the fence, so the fence is the screening.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
So I heard a motion to continue then already has been started. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, having a motion and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
See you guys. Thank you guys.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. We've got yet more. Conceptual application for 528 Mayor Place. If you could both raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening? If you could both state your full name and association with the property for record.
Liz Mesa, architect.
Joseph Wisney, I'm the tenant developer.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah.
This application is 528 Mountain Place, is located in the Grove District. The application is conceptual. The proposal is to install new concrete stairs centered at the new storefront entrance, which is otherwise the southwest elevation. The stairs would have a handrail with integrated lighting. The proposal also includes the proposed installed structural mega frame to project from the existing masonry facade. That frame would be illuminated. The proposal includes to install a metal and glass overhead door at the entry. The entry would have a perforated metal screen with LED lighting. The proposal also includes to install film to existing storefront glass and to install illuminated metal screen parapet at the. The proposal also includes for parking to restripe the parking lot and add a loading zone. And then for landscaping to install raised planter beds to match adjacent and install 2 trees to match the existing trees. So the existing building was constructed in 1957 as a steel frame brick exterior warehouse for the Chesapeake Storage Company. The building was situated in an industrial area near the ethnologized Bristol service building, an emulsion plant, the coffee company, cattle pens, and rail tracks placed historically. So at the February business meeting, the commission noted that they will have to review the application from a historic standpoint, and there will likely be some pushback regarding the change to the building facade. The commission noted that one of the things they'll be looking for is if once installed, the changes can be removed in the future without damaging the existing fabric and could return the building to the original condition. The commission noted they could support temporary items. The commission noted that a section drawing will be helpful to see things how things are correlating. The commission noted they appreciate the applicant labeling the changes and asked if the applicant could submit a demo drawing to better understand what is proposed to be moved or changed. And per the applicant, the space is intended to be museum interactive space. The commission noted that maintaining the original fenestration openings will be important and suggested perhaps creating a bump out atrium that will keep the fenestration intact and allow the proposal intent. Commission noted it would be helpful to see the intent of the mega frame and recommend staying away from text if this will be intended as an artistic treatment rather than signage. Commission noted that the amount of lighting would likely be a discussion point and recommended that the applicant submit options that the commission can provide feedback on and have discussion. So in response to the business meeting feedback, the applicant has submitted additional materials, including a demo section rendering and an image of the mega frame intent. So this is a conceptual application. So the staff recommendation is that the commissioners should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine a proposal for review at a future HRC meeting. So no action is required. The basis of that staff recommendation is the city code 316.13 standards for site improvements, specifically letter A, as well as the city code 316.11 standards for alteration, specifically numbers 1, 2, 5, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And the HRC guidelines regarding windows, lighting, and the amendments guidelines also regarding window replacement and door replacement. With that, I turn it over to the commission.
Wonderful. What would the applicant like to add?
Maybe for context, the Whittier Peninsula and the history of the peninsula and all the development happening there. This project is to bring a new experimental museum to the city. It's been about three and a half years in development. The developers, our company Roto, which does interactive museum work all over the country. The site is, in our mind, ideal for again, a public service, a public experiential attraction. We see the environment of the adjacent Metro Park and Audubon Museum or what is it called? The Visitor Center?
Yes.
Yeah, as a really great match to the, again, public mission of the museum. the idea of the design of the facade is just to elevate the sense of arrival and sense of presence of a museum entity there in an otherwise pretty nondescript building.
Yes, and I'd also like to add, we really appreciate the feedback we received at the business meeting and have clarified what is existing to remain versus what is new. The framed entrance, which conceptually we're kind of referring to as more of a portico. Our intent is that that is structurally independent from the existing building. So it is not going to, damage the fabric of that. This is taking up 3 structural bays of, like you mentioned, a former warehouse building, which is now a mixed-use development. And there's some, great other tenants in it. So, we really see this as, opportunity to breathe new life into this building. And given the site, we love the location because of the proximity to downtown and the Metro Park. It's not an urban infill project where it gets a lot of foot traffic. So given that it's a cultural attraction, the entry, we did intentionally want to have a more bold impression there. The existing openings you see, those used to be loading docks. So for a, front entry to a interactive museum, we felt, a kind of grander entrance would be more appropriate. And also knowing that this is more of a destination, this is not something that people are going to pass by while they're, going out to eat or, seeing something else. So I just want to give a little bit of explanation for that. And then the other good feedback we got last time was, this sort of differentiation between signage and art. And I think our previous graphics were a little vague on that. So we intentionally, in these updated images, that frame element, we really see that as an art opportunity. We don't see this as a billboard that is selling things. And, we do have the signage, which the intent is to meet the signage guidelines that are currently in place and have differentiated the art from the signage because we understand that's important. And yeah, that's really important. So.
So we're former redistrict commissioners, we're punching out because this didn't get submitted. So can you explain the lighting element and the signage a little bit more? So
Sure.
We're trying to understand how that works and yeah.
So given that this is conceptual, we don't have like cut sheets and everything engineered. But the intent is that, the sign for the museum, it's here. This is, dimensional letters that, in the evenings to be lit. And then the art opportunity here, we're looking at kind of a linear lighting effect. It's not, I don't believe we're doing an LED screen. Again, it's not a billboard.
Is that your proposed art, or are you saying that's just
Preliminary proposed art work. So, does that kind of help a little bit?
The screen behind.
This element here?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is a parapet wall that, again, this would be attached to the existing roof, but it's not going to be high or heavy enough that we're going to have to like restructure the building. And the intent, if you look at this image here, I don't anticipate it'll be as bright as this, but that we have some kind of transparency with potentially like an LED color element that again, just it's not permanent. It wouldn't be, it could be removed in the future, but it just gives that kind of theatrical excitement. A lot of the events here will be in the evening, also during the day, but that kind of evening approach is super important.
Elevated presence for an attraction.
The original building, how, They had garage doors on there that filled with glass at some
Yeah.
point. I take it.
Yeah, so these were all loading docks, trucks pulled up.
Right. But they were solid doors?
Yes, they were
Okay.
solid. Yeah, there's actually still one solid overhead.
Okay, and the little two pavilion things on each side, were those original or were those added?
I don't believe this one was original, because when you go to the Google Street View of this site, you don't see this. So at some point,
Do you know when that was?
no, I don't.
It would have been in post 2000 when Bischoff tried to make that into an office complex.
Okay, and it became a historical district. Because
Redistrict?
I think it was before 2000.
That's right.
so you think that that additional little pavilion improves? That's like,
You know? Yeah, I have a question.
Neither was part of that conversation.
okay, then, okay, and the little big awning things, they were.
Oh, good. Those were not, those were added as a part of the office, the mixed use.
I think they're barely visible in the historic photo. They've been on it for
from
the
the
photos.
60s.
Yeah, there's a photograph in the first or second page, if you want to zoom into that. Go to the next page.
What's up there?
Yeah, that original shot there on the left will give you a sense of what it was originally.
And just to be clear, the two kind of end cap pieces are outside,
Those are not in our tenant space.
Right.
Right.
so they're really not proposing any changes.
No.
I guess how wide are those openings?
8 feet wide?
If you want, okay, because one of the problems I think we are going to be struggling with is our precedence in general is not to allow openings to be changed.
Uh-huh.
Size of the openings to be changed. We've been real consistent with that regardless of how wonderful the project is or how wonderful the reason is, once we set that precedence, then somebody else is sitting there and they go, well, you know, and so we try to be consistent. I appreciate the item being placed in front of the original building, removable, not removable. I can see that as a sculpture. I can see that as a sign. Either way, I think we could probably work with it. Is it possible to locate it such that you could take advantage of an existing original opening? And not, it'd only be 8 feet.
Right.
You've got a little item and then you've got two more. I don't know if you're trying to center it. It don't necessarily have to be centered. They may be going to not. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that removal of that middle pier that basically takes two openings or two bays and makes it.
Yes, that is on the selected or on the demolition sheet. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a shape.
That's what I think we're gonna be struggling with,
Okay.
because if we set a precedence and say, oh, yeah, you can make your openings bigger, then the next guy is gonna want it. And
Right.
we need to be consistent because we're a judicial body, and so that consistency is so important to us. So I would be more comfortable if you could get it all to work in a single opening. I don't know if those are all the same size.
Or a couple of
Bigger.
Yeah.
Leave the column,
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah,
I mean, I have to admire that you put this other piece with the artwork on it in front of it, right? That's
Right.
freestanding, and so that can go, you leave as a tenant, it can go away, the building's
Right.
not touched. Even this screen piece up top of the roof, yeah, you're gonna have to modify the building a little bit to put that thing up, and it's just a screen up on top, creating a little parapet wall set back. But you can also torch it off the building and it goes away later. So-
Right, I think all that's really impactful, but can go away quickly.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And we can think of that as almost like a mural, because you're gonna have lights.
Part of my dentist's brain, it's not a
Right.
sign. Yeah.
Right.
There is a change of use kind of going on here too, right?
Any variations?
The museum.
Right, or if you could use two of the bays
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
and get them underneath, and you've got a little, yeah, it's a little different, but maybe, because that glass is an original anyway, so maybe you could push that entrance back and you have a column and you walk in and
Right.
do what you want to do, but that's the hang up, is remove that column. At least for me, that's good. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we do appreciate you kind of looking at it, thinking about our feedback and coming up with some more details and this art piece and all that, I think.
Right, for those that weren't at the business meeting, I just want to commend the applicant for really responding in kind for all the requests. Pretty much everything that we asked to see has been provided in more detail in the conceptual packet. I got a couple comments just about, and this, I know this is conceptual, so it might be a little bit premature. But I'm curious in the section, is the sign, if we call it a sign or the portico, is it literally disengaged? So is there a gap between and throughout the entirety of it?
Mhm.
Okay,
I will say, so, structurally it's held off. And again, this is very diagrammatic at this point. We're very early in the
Yeah.
process, but, structurally it's independent. We do, we are excited about this, portal element that, would extend to the interior. And so we are looking at ways to detail that so that, it appears continuous, but
Sure.
it's separate.
sure.
And because we understand, we're trying to be very sensitive, except for that little T shape, which you commented on, which, it's good to hear that with the openings. But I think, yeah, so the intent is to have that all separate, and we don't really have that fully designed yet.
Sure.
It's a nice concept, and I agree, it's sensitive to the building, but just that one little.
Yes,
thing-
no, I
But
understand.
otherwise it'll be beautiful.
I appreciate you trying to do that every year. It's a big addition.
Another two just structural things to look at as you're continuing to develop it, the adjacency, I think, of the new to existing and making sure that you're not damaging any of the foundation of the existing, because they are right now really close.
Yes.
And of course, if the idea is that this thing could be removed, that's
Mhm.
probably just another consideration, make sure
Yeah.
that gets worked through. And I know this is premature, this is conceptual.
No, but it's a good
But,
point.
and then the other item too is, with the parapet and, I think sometimes those require a little bit more structure than you initially anticipate. So I think just a little bit more understanding of what would need to be there, but I do agree, with the commissioner. Likely, it's not gonna be anything that can't be undone, but having a little bit more understanding of that would be good. And final thing, how are you getting that effect on that parapet? What's the thought? Like, what's the material and
PVD.
Yes.
PVD? Okay.
Yeah.
Cliffhanger for next time.
Right.
A texture of some kind, that's
Yeah.
appropriate and subtle and, fits the environment.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's, sorry, go ahead. The conceptual image, I think there's another one, it's right after, the one which, yeah, that one. If you zoom into that window, and I guess that's just a question for this group as well, there's another sign there. So technically,
Oh.
there's a window sign and a.
So the kind of mosaic graphic that you're seeing, that's more illustrative of something really cool that's happening on the inside. It's not,
Well,
is
that's,
that what you're referring to?
no, the text, number 9.
That's sign down there.
Oh, yes. So this would be film applied.
Most museums have their website out front.
But it's still another sign.
It is another, I just.
Oh, yes. So that, yeah, two sides.
Yeah,
One's really tiny. Well,
I know, but it adds to the signage, I think, I don't, again,
We can make that small.
With the signage,
Yeah.
yeah, so just keep that,
okay,
yeah, just keep an eye on that, and
okay.
this is our two sign.
Then I think we're gonna do a blade sign, maybe. Was there proposed?
The dimensional letters, I think was,
Oh, I think, yeah, that was an example.
And much like I think we had the case of the restaurant on High Street near the market, which is, I think the piece of art then falls in a special category under its own that's not signage, as I recall, it's an architectural feature element.
That's what I was gonna ask is, so if those are art elements, do they go through a separate approval process?
It comes with our review, but it just doesn't trigger signage.
So the circle thing.
Yeah.
Is art, is how I'm
yes.
perceiving it, but the text, the lettering there is signage.
Yes.
And that's in two places right now.
So do you have a recommendation? I mean, are you saying that maybe there should just be one or maybe make them a smaller?
I think you have to look at your signage package criteria.
Okay.
There's certain sizes and things.
Calculations.
take a look at that.
For that compliance issue, it would probably, as this reading currently, if it was a sign, it would be too big. It's art, it's not too big.
When you designate the sign, just do where the letters are. The rest is art.
Yes, the
In the Google sign, just check it, see, because we have allowed, well, they're slightly different. One's an address. The other one is the sign. Do we allow an address separate? I mean, hotels,
We have been flexible depending, I mean, there was a couple instances where we've been flexible on sign.
okay.
You know, just the calculations and what they're allowed.
Work with Janet.
Yeah.
So read the stuff, think about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
check it, build a case to present. Say,
sure.
this falls in this category because, and then, so you're telling us why.
How we
Not-
comply.
Now we are trying to, and just further down the line, when you do start doing the construction drawings and stuff, make sure you do the little details of everything's in the mortar joints, nothing's in the brick and all that kind of stuff to protect the fabric
Okay.
as you find out, because that'll hold you up later. But yeah, it's not, you guys like it. You guys are more familiar.
It's an interesting mix of uses in the
Right.
building.
Right.
You got enough info then, I guess?
Yeah, I think that was
Really helpful. Thanks very
feedback.
much.
Thank you.
Look forward to coming back again.
See you soon.
Thank you. Seeing no other additional applicants here, it looks like we probably can continue 7:32 Oakwood Avenue if there's a motion.
So moved.
Motion is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes. That case is then additionally continued. Jacqueline, do we have anything else additional under new business?
We do not have anything for new business or old business.
Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Having motion and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes. We are adjourned at 5:05 PM. Thank you.
So, what do you guys think?
You guys are crisp, I like it.
Was that our record?
No.
Yeah.
I think you want to continue as well.
Yes. It's like a big thing along, you know, that's quite so much time.
Transient.
Uh,
They were